already we have set up committee to look into all the industries, the condition, the building condition, the environment condition, the labor condition, even the working condition, just to look into it.
With the building and factory owners and government engineers in jail, many survivors are asking how they could have been forced to return to work when management already was aware of the cracks in the building and workers' concerns on the very day of the collapse. Sheikh Hasina said her government had taken all the necessary action by making arrests, adding that justice would be served. However, she also said accidents could happen anywhere.
Anywhere in the world, any accident can take place. You cannot, predict anything. Recently, there was a, accident in a fertilizer industry in Texas. So, accident may take place.
The Bangladeshi Prime Minister also denied allegations of corruption in her country and pointed the finger at international companies that come to Bangladesh for cheap labor. She said they could do more to help her people's working conditions.
Listen, if they want to do business, this buyer, they also consider they should increase the price of the garments so that the business can run properly and the labor can get good salary. So they are also partly responsible for it.
Major international companies are gathering to decide how to improve working conditions in countries like Bangladesh, where they have factories. For those who lost loved ones, change can't come soon enough to bring them some measure of comfort that the more than 400 deaths were not completely in vain. Vanula Sweeney, CNN, Atlanta.
Voters go to the polls in Malaysia on Sunday in what some are calling the country's closest ever general election. The government coalition could see an end to its more than 50-year rule. The CNN report gives us an insight into the existing political terrain in Malaysia.
You see the battle for voters play out. A candidate from the ruling party coalition reminding his constituents of long ties.
Yeah, my message is I'm a local boy. I grew up here. I've been with these people more than 35 years.
This is the party of Prime Minister Najib Razak. Despite years of impressive economic growth in Malaysia, led by Najib's party, the ruling coalition is facing its toughest fight ever. Voters are concerned about crime, the cost of living, and corruption. And despite recent political steps toward reforms pushed through by Najib, it hasn't calmed the calls for change.
Government is too corrupt, like that. So we have to change.
The Prime Minister and his party are warning that change could be catastrophic for Malaysia. But in this election, there's been an influx of young voters, voters who aren't afraid of change.
And young people have opened the floodgates of debate through social media.
Almost 80–90% of those under 40 have access to the net, and therefore they have access to information coming in from both sides of the political divide, unlike their parents or their elders who tend to have to rely on the mainstream media that's pretty much following the government line.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of change. Not so sure what is it, but yeah, looking forward for a change.
Closely following the ruling coalition candidate, the opposition mines the same market for voters. This is the daughter of Malaysia's opposition leader, Anwar Ibrahim, a former deputy prime minister. Anwar's daughter scoffs at government warnings against change.
And for me, all these scaremongering tactics will not go far. Voters are more discerning and more wise.
Malaysia still votes largely along ethnic lines, and the government has strong support among the majority ethnic Malays, who have long received favorable treatment by the government.
What you want to change is everything is good for me. It's okay for me lah. For another people I don't know lah.
Thank you. This election will determine whether one of the world's longest-serving governments can keep its hold on power. Liz Nislaw, CNN, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia.
Well, we now take our second break. The news continues when we come back. Well, his job was to probe Pakistan's highest-profile murder case, the assassination 6 years ago of Benazir Bhutto. But this morning, gunmen showered his car with bullets. Chaudhry Zulfikar died shortly thereafter at the hospital. The attackers got away, and authorities are not speculating on the motive behind the killing. More in this report.
There were other victims as well.
His bodyguard showed great valor. He was injured. The car hit a woman who was walking nearby, and she also died.
Zulfikar was prosecuting several high-profile cases in Pakistan, including the 2008 terrorist attack on the Indian city of Mumbai and the 2007 killing of former Prime Minister Benazir Bhutto. Zulfikar said there was evidence of former President Pervez Musharraf's involvement in the case. Musharraf is currently under house arrest. On Friday, Zulfikar was headed to the anti-terrorism court in Rawalpindi for a hearing on the Bhutto case.
This is a very tragic incident because a trial is going on and an effort has been made to stop it. All I can say is that this is very tragic.
The killing of Benazir Bhutto unleashed a wave of protests across Pakistan. No one has ever been convicted of her murder. Chaudhry Zulfikar was trying to change that.
Well, in the moment, 60 years.
Well, we now take a look at sports. Departments and institutions in the National Interdepartmental Sports Association are putting in the final touches to prepare for the commencement of the tournament. The Super Cup final of this year's edition is set for tomorrow, Saturday, and officials are convinced of an exciting tourney. Earlier this week, our sports reporter Mode S. Jallo spoke with NISA member Suleiman Baji about the tournament.
Very interesting draws there. Yeah. Like we said in the beginning, GRTS in a very tough group. But tell us, what do you make of the draw? Your reactions to the draw as the assistant PRO of NISA?
Yeah, the draw was done fairly. It was in the presence of the NISA executive, and then together with the combination of the media. They all witnessed the draw, and then it was done fairly, and it's transparent here.
So now that the draw has been made, what is next?
The next stage is we have to start the Super Cup on Saturday, which is on the 4th of May. That is going to be between immigration and the armed forces. They used to be the defenders for the past. So they have to play this Super Cup on the 4th. And the tournament proper will start on the 10th of May. Yeah.
So immigrations will be playing against the armed forces in the Cotton Razor on Saturday.
Yes.
Venue?
We want to thank you on his behalf.
Well, Suleiman Baji there. And before we go, reminder of our top stories. The top brass of RLG Gambia Thursday briefed the Vice President on the upcoming commissioning of the Gambia branch of the Business Consortium. Expanding information and changing attitudes, senior officials at the Ministry of Information and Communication Infrastructure and young girls in ICT talk cybersecurity and the responsible use of smartphones. More than 500 dead and still counting. Days after the cloth industry disaster in Bangladesh, the Prime Minister of the Southeast Asian nation lambasted money-spinning companies operating in that country without much consideration for the ordinary employee. An unidentified assailant in Pakistan assassinated the top prosecutor probing the death of Benazir Bhutto 6 years since the ill-fated killing of the former Pakistani premier. Well, that does it for this edition of the news. Thanks for the pleasure of your company, and stay tuned to enjoy the rest of our programs.